everybody. Happy Blockheads Wednesday. This is week 11 of group 2 of Blockheads 5. And our guest designer today is Stacy Iest Hsu. And she has designed this awesome block for us called Shooting Stars. It's got lots of fun elements in it. We're going to be doing some folded corners today and just lots of options for fun fabric placement in this design. This is my finished block and I'm super excited with how it turned out. This was a lot of fun to make. And as always, I've got a couple notions to share with you guys today as we walk through constructing this block. And I can't wait to show you what I've got in store for you. So let's dive into the pattern, take a look, and get started sewing. Lots of fun pieces in this week's block. I'm going to be making the 6-inch block, so I'll be using these measurements. And when I refer to measurements in the video, it'll probably be for the 6-inch block. So let's take a look at all of the different pieces. I've got my A, B, and C rectangles here. These are going to be for the star trails. Then I've got my D squares that I'll be using to make our stitch and flip corners for our star. I've got my E and F and G and H rectangles here, and then my I squares for these corner pieces for the star. Now, I'm using the same 2 fabrics for both of my stars for this particular version. In my Americana version that you'll see later, I am going to make my stars 2 different colors. So you can do that if you want, or you can use the same colors here. I'm mixing it up on the star trails a little bit. Also, I've got 2 different fabrics for those. Stitch and flip corners are the name of the game for our block this week. Lots of little folded corners for these stars. And when we're working with blocks or units that are this small, so this is a 1-inch square right here for my folded corners, we really want to make sure that we're very precise when piecing these folded corners. So I've got a tool that I use regularly when I'm making stitch and flip or folded corners, and I think it's going to help us get those perfectly precise corners for our block. So let me bring out that ruler and show you how to use it. This is Doug Lico's Mini Simple Folded Corners ruler. He's got a larger size ruler as well, but I end up using the mini version all the time. I use it a lot. This is my personal ruler, and when we start looking at it, you'll see I open it up in it, and my little instruction sheet is very well loved because I use this tool all the time. So with the Simple Folded Corners ruler, Doug gives you 2 ways to make these stitch and flip corners or folded corners. You can do an oversized corner to trim down, or you can do no trim, exact size folded corners. I'm going to be showing y'all the no trim version method today. It works great, but I do use the oversized option as well. So he's got the instructions in the sheet here to show you how to do both sizes, and there's a chart that gives you all the measurements you need for making the oversized ruler. But the no trim is so straightforward, and it's amazing how just using this tool will really make a difference in making these precise folded corners. So let's take a look at how we use it. The great news is that using the Simple Folded Corners ruler doesn't really change much about the way you are going to piece the block. So the first step is to make all these folded corner units for the star. And you can follow the directions that I've given you here, drawing a line on the squares, on the back of the squares, and then, just like making half square triangles or stitch and flip flying geese, anything like that. So we're still going to kind of do the same thing. We're just going to use the folded corners ruler to save us from having to draw that line, and it makes it super simple. The first thing we want to do when we're making our folded corner units is to decide on fabric placement in our stars, because that's going to determine if we're going to have a right folded corner or a left folded corner. So you can see here that the unit here, it's labeled E on our diagram. It's going to have a right folded corner in all of its placements in this block. And then our F fabric will have a left folded corner in all of its placements in the block. So I've decided to use this fabric for my E fabric. So it's going to have a right folded corner. And then this darker brown fabric will be my F fabric, and that is going to have a left folded corner. So now that I know where my fabric is going to go and where the corner units are going to be, I can pair up my fabrics. The instructions have us put the squares with the rectangles right sides together, and then we're going to use the ruler to trim away this corner, and that's going to give us the perfect spot to sew point to point with our 1/4-inch seam to get our precise folded corner unit. So now that I've decided on my fabric placement, I can pair up my my print rectangles with my little corner fabric squares, and I can use the ruler and trim those away. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, here's our mini simple folded corners ruler, and this is our trim away line right here. So the instructions have us find this solid line, this first solid line, opposite the trim away line. And we're going to align this line with the bottom of our D square. And that's it doesn't matter what size you're working with. You just want to line this first solid line with the bottom of that square, and then we'll trim away from here. Now this is for the left folded corner. We're going to orient this ruler differently for the right folded corners, but right now we're starting with the left corner. So I'll line it up on my fabric and show you what that looks like. Okay, so again, here is that first solid line, and I'm going to align it with the bottom of my D square here. And then this is where I will trim right along that line. Okay, and now you can even see, so this line here is going to be our stitching line, although I'm going to be kind of scant. I'm going to be just on the inside of that line, and you'll see how that helps us get a perfectly sized unit. For our right corner units, we're still going to look for this first solid line, but instead of aligning it on the bottom of our D square, we're going to align it on the left side of our D square, just like that. And so now I can cut away on the cut line, and I have my perfect unit, and I will do my scant 1/4-inch seam on based on this cut line here, and then fold out to the right. Okay, I've got my right corner units and my left corner units trimmed and ready to stitch. It's going to be so easy to chain piece these. So let me take them to my sewing machine and get those pieced and then pressed out. And we'll take a look at how they turned out. Okay, my little folded corner units are done, and they should measure 1 inch by 1.5 inches, and they sure do. So these are ready to join together like this. So I'm going to join these together, and then I'm going to press the seams open. I also used my Easy Press pen for pressing out these corners. So if you didn't see last week's video, Block 10, the Block 10 video, definitely check that out. I show the Easy Press pen in action, and it helps make a nice flat seam here. So sometimes with corners this small, they tend to not lay down very well, and that Easy Press pen definitely helps with that. So let me join these all together and press the seams open, and then we'll be ready to move to the next step. Okay, now let's make our G and H folded units. So in the diagram, one star has the G fabric on top, and the other star has the H fabric on top. And that's important to note for when we're cutting our units here for making the folded corners because it's going to impact the orientation. So I'm going to cut my fabrics this way. So I'm going to have one star with G on top and one star with H on top. So I've gone ahead and paired them up. So this will be my top unit. And you can see I've got one G and one H here. And this will be my bottom unit and one G and one H. So just like before, we're going to have left and right corners, and they're going to be opposite for each one. So for the top unit, the right side is going to be a right corner unit, and the left side is going to be a left corner unit. For the bottom, the right side will be a left corner unit, and the left side will be a right corner unit. So I know that's a little bit tricky. So it's good to have the visual. I've got in your pattern here, it'll show you the orientation just in case you need a little reminder. So be sure to take a look at that and just pay attention to the orientation of your cuts when you're preparing your folded corners here. So I'll start with the top, and it's going to be one right side, one left side. So I'll cut those, and then we'll move to the bottom unit. Okay, I've got my D squares on each end of my G and H rectangles. So now I'm going to, for the right side, it's going to be a right corner unit. So I've got the solid line aligned with the left edge of my D square. And I will cut here. And then I'll rotate this. Now this is going to be a left corner unit. So I'm going to align that solid line on the bottom of my square. And I will cut this way. All right, so now that's essentially my top unit for my star. So now for the bottom, they're going to mirror. So I'll have on the left side, it'll be a right corner unit. And on the right side, it'll be a left corner unit. Okay, so here is our right side. Now I'll turn it around and do the left side. All right, and now I'm ready to do my chain piecing and get those stitched and pressed out. Okay, I've got my G and H units done, and once again I used the Easy Press pen to press the seam so it's nice and flat. So now I'll join these together, and once again I'm going to press the seam open when I join these together. Okay, I've got my EF and GH units all put together. I pressed the seams open, and I used my Easy Press pen to get a nice flat seam. And I've also trimmed these to make sure that they're exactly the right size, which they are. So these I can put away, the GH units I can put away for the time being. Okay, the next step is to join an I square on either side of two of our EF units, and then to sew the C rectangle to this side of two of our EF units. And when I sew these all together, join these units, I'm going to press the seams open again and use my Easy Press pen to make sure I get a nice flat seam. Okay, I've got these two partial star units done, and I pressed the seams open. So now I can set these aside. And the next step is to sew my A and B rectangles to either side of these joined units. So I'll do that. I'm going to press the seams open again, I think, and then we can start assembling the block. Okay, now that my stripe units are assembled and I pressed those seams open, I'm ready to assemble the two halves of my block and then put the two halves together to assemble the full block. So I'm going to start by sewing my partial star unit, my middle unit, and then my stripe unit together. And then, of course, one of these will be rotated so the stripes are in sort of opposite directions. And then I can put the whole block together. I'm going to keep on pressing all of my seams open. That's just really working for this block for all the bulk that I have, and using that easy press pen. I really like the flat seams, and I think that I'm going to get a better result pressing my seams open. So I'm going to keep on doing that as I assemble this block. So let me get this assembled, and then I'll be back to show you the finished block. Okay, here's my finished block. I just love how it turned out, and this one I think can have a lot of different looks based on your orientation and fabric placement. I think it looks cool on with the stars to the side, and then I even think it'd be fun on point. In hindsight, I might have done these rectangles a little bit lighter, but I still really like how it turned out. And I got my Americana block done as well. And I'm really pleased with that one too. So this is a super fun block. Lots of little pieces, but definitely a lot of fun to put together. So again, the Mini Simple Folded Corners ruler by Doug Lico really saved the day today, helped us get really nice, perfect and precise folded corners. And I talked about it a lot, but didn't show it in action. But my Easy Press pen and the Easy Press fabric treatment also really helped me make this nice, crisp and flat block, especially with all the seams that we have. There's a lot going on in this block, so using that Easy Press pen really helped, and my seams are so nice and flat, and so this really came in handy for this block. Now, I didn't show it in action today, but in the week 10 block, I do show how to use the Easy Press pen, so it's really straightforward, easy to use, and definitely helps you get nice flat seams in your blocks, especially when you're working with small pieces like these. Thank you, Stacy, for designing Shooting Stars. This block is so much fun. I can't wait to see everyone's take on this block. I know there's lots of options for fabric placement, and I just am so excited to see what everyone does with Shooting Stars. So don't forget to join us in our official Facebook group and post your blocks there. And then if you're posting on Instagram, be sure to use the hashtag ModaBlockheads5. Thanks so much for watching this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and have a great week, and we'll see you next time.